Okay. All right, folks, here we go. We're standing by. Had a little bit of a delay. We're going to get back on track. Special guest, Patricia Morgan. Yep. We're going to make it work. Okay. We are going to get the go ahead again. We are live on different platforms. We are right now at, yes. Oh, I'm waiting for JR to say he is connected. Okay, at 12:19, a little bit delayed. Folks, good afternoon. It is the Real News at noon. Here I am, the chosen one, on AM 1380, 99.9 FM. You can listen online at our website, which is depetro.com. Coming up at 12:30, she is challenging Senator Sheldon Whitehouse. Patricia Morgan will be our guest. But let me get back on track. What has been a very busy day. Now, we have, obviously, local stories with, Governor McGreed is going to do the press briefing later regarding the bridge. But all eyes are on Washington. We want to bring the latest. Folks, this portion of our program is brought to you by PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. What a selection they have. Locally sourced vegetables, sweet corn, native tomatoes. PR Landscape. Stop it and see them. 3688 Quaker Lane in North Kingstown. Steve and Debbie and Junior and Byron. They are just fantastic folks. Hanging pots, hanging patience, large selection of beautiful patio pots. Listen, the weather, this is perfect weather. You can also add some nice brush around your property, maybe give you a little more privacy. Add a little color to your yard. PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. Remember, they're full-scale nursery. But right now, this time of year, and if you're coming from, that's the old way, pop off and see them right there on Route 4, 3688 Quaker Lane in North Kingstown, especially their sweet corn and native tomatoes. Look for them on Facebook. It's PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. Now, we have some stories going up this afternoon on depetro.com. Obviously, we dominated the story regarding the horrible situation in Hopkinton. I noticed some of the news stations now are putting up, he had been arrested in May. That's true. We had it posted on Sunday night. Read about it at the website, depetro.com. Coming up this afternoon, the latest on situation in Pawtucket. Remember little baby Santiago? And then also the latest on that fugitive in Woonsocket who remains on the loose. depetro.com, brought to you by the Cohasset Inn, 226 Cohasset Avenue, West Warwick. Lunch, dinner, drinks in the lounge. And also, don't forget, you also can enjoy the market at Cohasset. They're waiting for you at the Cohasset Inn. Now, before I, obviously, listen, all eyes are on what's going on in D.C. We are going to give you the latest with some of our local stories. But what is happening right now in D.C., I'm just seeing this. House Democrats meeting President Biden. Starting to empty out. One House Democrat supportive said it felt like a funeral. There's no consensus on Biden. A lot of talk about how difficult the situation is for the Democrat Party. One rep said putting Harris atop the ticket would be setting her up for failure. Another rep said he saw a poll, Biden losing in his district. He won with 62% of the vote last time. Folks, this is all good. This is all good for those that would like change, those that Dems exited the meeting saying not only are they not on the same page, we're not even in the same book. That is remarkable. The station on the dial continues to run cover for Governor McGreed. Pleased with his presentation, candid conversation. We're going to work with him for victory in November. Just embarrassing is what this is, without question. So, but the stuff about the bridge can wait. New York Times editorial board again calling for President Biden to step down. President Biden clearly understands the stakes. He seems to have lost track of his own role in this national drama. As the situation has become more dire, he has to regard himself as indispensable. He does not seem to understand that he is now the problem. And the best hope for Democrats to retain the White House is for him to step aside. He doesn't see that. One member who attended today's Democrat caucus says the morale of the caucus is at a historical low. When I asked if compared to a funeral, they said that's an insult to the funerals. Listen, we're going to hear from Rep. Morgan. Now, again, she is in a primary with Ray McKay, but the situation in Washington, this has been now the Hillary people, they're saying forget about they're saying forget about VP Harris will step forward. Shock poll: Hillary beats Trump, but there's no way Biden is stepping forward for Hillary. And where does that put Kamala Harris? Nowhere. All right. Now, before we're going to talk to Patricia Morgan coming up at 12:30. A couple of different reminders. Number one, August 16th through the 18th. This is a great trip. I've gone on this trip. Round trip motor coach transportation. Tickets in the all-you-can-eat suite Friday at 7 o'clock. Tickets in the Saturday's game at 7 o'clock. 2 nights at the Marriott Sheraton. Inner and Harbor walk to the game. I've been to this. It's a great trip. Rate subject to change per person. Early bird special. Non-refundable. Alan Hockman Tours. 401-274-TRIP. 401-274-TRIP or online at 274trip.com. Join Alan Hockman, Red Sox Orioles. It's August 16th through the 18th. It's a great long weekend where you can go on the road and it's fun to see your team. I have absolutely been to that, and it's a really, really fun trip. All right, I want to stay on track now we are going to talk to Rep. Morgan. Folks, now Governor McKee, who's going to hold a press briefing later this afternoon. My question is, I just don't understand why we would believe anything he has to say about the bridge. I don't understand why anyone would believe anything that he's going to say about the Washington Bridge. So far, if you go down the list, he's yet to be truthful on anything, as a matter of fact. If you really want to be honest, starting with December 11th, the only thing, December 11th, when in essence, they first said that the bridge would be closed for 3 months. We obviously know that that was not true. Then they said, okay, we're going to put it out to bid. And clearly we know that that is not the case. And now, I don't know what he's going to say. Now they have to resubmit, and they weren't surprised when no one bid on the project. It's essentially like one lie after another with Governor McGreed. So I know whatever he's going to say, I'll just be the first one. He's tied with Biden. Something you should know about Governor McKee and the Washington Bridge is just the fact that he is completely They are completely reliant. Remember when Mayor Pete came and they were all wearing their hard hats, even though it was a closed bridge, and there's Matos marching around. Listen, you have Matos, Lieutenant Governor, she's in Paris. Governor tied in with Governor Key is tied in with Biden. Gabe Amo is tied in with Biden. Our entire delegation is tied in with the Biden administration. So, if anything, you want to talk about just being on the wrong side of this stuff, and I want to commend President Trump was great last night on Sean Hannity. He was he's not going over the top. He's laying low. Don't get in the way. Let Biden continue to make mistakes. I think right now President Trump is doing all the right things. But there's something deeper here. And there's a number of people that have been covering for him. There's a number of people that have not been truthful with us on exactly what his condition is. Not even close, as a matter of fact. So, folks, I want to remind you, this portion of our program is brought to you by Royal Exteriors. Call Andrew today at Royal Exteriors. Free quote, 401-533-9989. Roof or siding, it's Royal Exteriors. 401-533-9989. Royal Exteriors, where the customer is king or queen. Tremendous experience. You deal directly with the owner. Royal Exteriors. It's so important to have the right person do your roof or siding. And Andrew is that person. Free estimate, 401-533-9989 for Royal Exteriors. Well, folks, good afternoon. You're listening to the John DePetro Show. It's AM 1380, 99.9 FM. Now, we're also live. Obviously, we do our simulcast on Facebook Live. Thank you, all the stars. And then we're also now expanding. You can hear the show on AM 1380 and 99.9 FM. You can listen online at our website, depetro.com. And now we're also live during this Real News at Noon on both YouTube and also on X as we continue to expand with our different platforms. So right now, one of the reasons I want to have Patricia Morgan join us is, now granted, she isn't a primary. We'll hear from her, but you don't hear anyone, I don't think, you don't hear anyone, Governor McKee right now is in total denial, and he has to be, because he is still going down this ridiculous road that he's going to help President Biden to victory. No one believes that right now. But the president is stubborn and adamant that he will not get out of the race. He's daring them to try to remove him. And they're going to try to come up with different ways to rally the base. The Democrat Party is split. And one of the problems that we're facing right now is just the fact that we have a situation where we don't have anyone who is truly plugged in. As I said, yesterday, at the very least, in Massachusetts, you have Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey. She's not fully on board with everything. And then we don't have anyone that is truly representing how people really feel. And folks, joining us right now, she has always been very outspoken. And she is someone who would like the opportunity to take on Senator Sheldon Whitehouse in a head-to-head matchup. And joining us, there she is. It is our friend, Representative Patricia Morgan. Good afternoon, Rep. Morgan.
Good afternoon, John.
There we go. Now, Rep. Morgan, first of all, I would like to hear your thoughts regarding the situation with President Biden and in D.C.
It's troubling. I mean, obviously, he's not capable of governing now, let alone in a year or 2 years. But let's face it, the Democrat voters in the primaries chose him. They want him. I don't understand it. You would think that they would want somebody who was at least competent, but they chose him.
Now, right now, without question, as much as you are having trouble getting kind of traction in your bid against Senator Sheldon Whitehouse with the local media, but at the same time, Rep. Morgan, that latest poll that came out that showed where Sheldon Whitehouse is, excuse me, where Biden is against Trump in Rhode Island. I mean, you should be encouraged by that. The latest poll, and even Joe Fleming, the pollster, said he was, surprised at the fact that President Biden only had a 7-point lead over President Trump, and that was before the debate.
The people of Rhode Island, they're practical, they're common sense, they want problems solved. And honestly, each of us is concerned about our own lives. They can't possibly look at Biden or White House and say these are the solutions to the problems in their lives. Every single family out there is looking at their quality of life deteriorating. And it's because of inflation, right? They go to the grocery store, that's swallowing up more money. The electric bills, the heating bills, the gas bills for their cars. Everything is making their quality of life worse. Do they really think Biden and White House are going to make their lives better? We're practical people. We're capable of looking past what the mainstream media has been pushing down our throats for the last 8 years and saying, wait, my life isn't any better. My life is worse under the Biden and White House regime. I want change. And that's what you're seeing. In that same poll, John, White House is going down. He has lost percentage points in approval as well. So that's really encouraging to me. He's below 50% now. He was at 48%. I think he continues to deteriorate. I haven't begun yet. And once I start, kind of showing the differences where White House is leading our state and where I want to take us, I think he'll go down and I'll go up.
Now, Rep. Morgan, something else. I'm curious to hear what you're hearing from voters, because Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, he doesn't, his battles right now, they don't seem to be to try to improve the life of everyone from Westland and Woonsocket. What I see is a self-absorbed politician. He's running this battle and war almost against the Supreme Court, against the Wall Street Journal. Earlier was against, quote, climate change. He just, I know it's Rhode Island, but he seems like he's off on an island. I don't hear Senator Sheldon Whitehouse. I don't hear him mention at any time the border. I don't hear him mention anything about the Washington Bridge. I don't hear him, come out and address that things are not running and smoothly in the country. I just don't hear him addressing things that normal people are talking about.
That we care about. Exactly. That make our lives better. He is the author of our pain. That climate agenda that he has been pushing for the last, 10 years, where do you think a lot of the inflation is coming from? Seriously, everything we buy, every part of our lives, our electricity, the gas or the oil to heat our houses, what we buy in the store, they all touch energy in some form. And he has been on a war against them, making them more expensive. They keep saying that all of this renewable energy, it's getting cheaper. Has anybody's electric bill gone down? It hasn't, right? Everybody is paying more. In fact, over the last 5 years, it's gone up 81%, our electric bills, right? And it's so incremental. People they kind of pay it and they're uncomfortable and they're saying, geez, my paycheck isn't going as far as it used to. I'm struggling out here. But it is that climate agenda. And he's still way on board for it. They have, in that inaptly named or deceptively named Inflation Reduction Act, they put $1 trillion worth of subsidies to the renewable industry. That's inflation right there. It is. That is inflation. When you are spending more than you're taking in, I just want everybody in your audience to think about it. You have a household budget. Can you spend 40% more than you're making and expect your family, your house to run well? Well, that's what the federal government is doing. And Sheldon Whitehouse is on the budget committee. He's, in fact, the chairman of the budget committee. And all he can talk about is climate change, the fact that we need more immigrants, not less. Right? They're costing the federal government $629 billion a year. That's what they're willing to admit to. How much are state governments and local governments paying? Right? In law enforcement, and our package here in Rhode Island when an illegal immigrant comes here is very, very generous. We're paying for that. It is affecting the lives of the native Rhode Islanders. He says nothing. He just encourages more.
Folks, again, our guest is Representative Patricia Morgan. She is running for Senate, for that Senate seat held by Rhode Island Senator, U.S. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse. Rep. Morgan, also, this is such a pivotal election because right now in Rhode Island, look at what we're potentially faced with. Rhode Island has always operated the best when we had someone down there with the other party, working with the other party. Senator Whitehouse is a hyper-partisan, and this is the landscape, and people need to absorb this right now. It sure seems as though President Trump is on track to not only is he going to take the White House, but the Republicans are going to hold on to the Senate, and the Republicans are going to hold on to the House. A big question that people in Rhode Island need to ask themselves is, where are we going to be if we have no one on the inside, if we have no one at the table with the party in power? The state always operated best when we had some representation in Washington with both parties.
I think that's true. I mean, you have to be. Listen, I've existed in the General Assembly, which has been dominated by Democrats, and I still got things done. But going down to Washington, I will continue to get things done. And I think the people of the state know that I fight for them. I fight for the little guys. The guys at the top, they get taken care of. The guys at the bottom, they get taken care of. It's us in the middle that are getting squeezed. And I've just spent 14 months or 14 years, fighting to give middle class and working class Rhode Islanders a better quality of life, more money in their pocket. I want them and their families to be more financially secure. I don't see that from Whitehouse. I don't see it at all. I think he worries about himself. I think he does insider trading. I think he has his little circle where he gives money to environmental groups that hire his wife. He's fine. The rest of us aren't. And that's what I fight every day.
Today, Governor McKee is going to hold another briefing on the Washington Bridge. I mean, let's look at where we are. December 11th, they close the bridge. He doesn't even go on television. He sends DOT Director Peter Elvedi out on TV. They come back and say it's only going to be closed for 3 months. Then they shut down the whole thing. Then they start talking about full demolition. Then they bring in Mayor Pete, and they're wearing all the hard hats and the vests, and they do the photo op. They say, the federal government's going to jump in. Then they put this thing out for bid, and no bids come in. Why should we believe? First of all, I don't see Senator Whitehouse anywhere regarding the Washington Bridge. The people in the East Bay have been abandoned. Why should we believe anything at this point that Governor McKee is going to announce about that Washington Bridge?
I think you shouldn't. I think it's just amazing to me that they are dragging their feet on the most important bridge that we have in the state. Think about it. They're just dragging their feet. Everything is in slow motion. What the heck is going on? The incompetence, the lack of caring about the lives of average people. I talked with the gentleman at the Bristol July 4th parade, and he was saying he owns a small company. It's a service company, and he has to now station some of his men on the West Bay because if they come back and forth to the East Bay, it eats up, half of their day every day. and he's paying for that. And ultimately, the people who need his services are paying for it. And yet, nobody has any oversight. Nobody has any accountability ever. Right, John, you and I have been in this for a long time,
Yes.
And let's just face it, Alviti was hired in 2015. And at that time, we knew the bridge needed work. None of it was done. No oversight. It's just about feeding the insiders, taking care of our buddies. It's not about providing quality and value to the taxpayers. And our lives are really, really being affected. How many small companies and restaurants have gone out of business now on the East Bay? It's bad.
That's right. And Rep. Morgan, more importantly, I don't hear anyone, and certainly local media is not covering, but a Trump White House, they're not going to, they're not going to pay 70%. There's no guarantee on this. If everything stays as is right now, you have a Trump White House, you have a Republican-led Senate, you have a Republican-led House. Unless we elect some Republican, and you would be a good choice, we're not going to have anyone that can go to the White House and say, I need this money for the bridge. We don't have anyone in the Senate that could say, I'm with the controlling party. We need this money for the bridge. Governor McKee, Matos, White House, Gabe Amo, Magaziner, they're all on the wrong side of this whole thing. This is crucial. There is no guarantee that should power switch that the state of Rhode Island is going to get this, the federal government to pay 75% of the cost of this bridge.
I think we know that Raimondo is down there in the Commerce Department, right? We know that we have 2 senators and 2 representatives that are Democrats. And we also know that none of them seem to care about Rhode Island, right? If they thought that this state was important to them, they would be pouring money into it. They were pouring money into Maryland.
That's right.
Right? They take Rhode Island for granted. They just do. They don't care. And obviously, none of our congressional delegation is making them care. I would. I mean, this bridge being out and the mess that they had down at the Newport Bridge as well. I mean, it was just a double whammy earlier, a couple of months ago. But this really is affecting our economy. It's not just those little restaurants and those little small businesses. It is the traffic that passes through Rhode Island, the goods that are coming in here. Every single one of them is costing more because it takes more for the trucks to move. It takes more money for them to deliver things in here. It's really, really affecting our economy. You affect our economy, you affect jobs, you affect futures.
And quality of life. Rep. Morgan, and again, folks, we're going to give her a chance to tell you how you can learn more about her campaign, get involved in the campaign. But my final question, I want to come back to the president. And the New York Times has reported a specialist regarding Parkinson's visited the White House 8 times. And the president, in his interview, President Biden with George Stephanopoulos, he refused to take a cognitive ability test. So I don't hear Senator Sheldon Whitehouse saying that he thinks the president should take one. That would certainly alleviate fears of whether or not, does he have a condition? Is the president on medication for Parkinson's? So here's my question. Do you believe, and do you call on your opponent, Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, because no one in the Rhode Island delegation has said this, do you believe he should call for the president to take a cognitive ability test and also release his records so people can determine whether or not, in fact, he does have the condition, which can be common, of Parkinson's? I think a real question here is he on medication? And more importantly, the American people, we have a right to know if, in fact, he is being treated for Parkinson's disease. What do you say to that?
I guess I get more down to earth on this. John, would you allow your child to get in a car with Joe Biden?
Good point. No.
And drive them somewhere?
No.
Right? So if you won't you won't wholeheartedly say, oh yeah, I want Joe Biden to drive him down to the bowling alley or down to the soccer field. Would you choose him to run this country?
Good
Would
point.
It's clear something is going on with him, right? I mean, I lived with my mom, she had moderate dementia. I see all the signs there, whether it's Parkinson's or Lewy body dementia or whatever it is. I would never have given my mother the keys to the car and said, hey guys, get in the car with grandma and go for a ride. Wouldn't have done it. And yet
That's
this
right.
is supposed to be the leader of the free world.
That's a good way to phrase it. Yep.
I wouldn't do it.
Rep. Morgan, how can people learn more about you? How can people learn more about your campaign?
Okay, great. I'm on patriciamorgan.com is my website. So all of my contact information is there. We absolutely need people to come and volunteer. I welcome every single person. You give me an hour, I'll take the hour. You don't have to sign up for 40 hours a week or anything like that. But we can put everybody to work. We can. Right now, I think, John, we're collecting signatures to get on the ballot. And I need to collect 1,000, and that's hard work. So if they can come down to my website, which is in Warwick, it's at 831 Bald Hill Road, the Rhode Island Trucking Association building. So you go to the Rhode Island Mall, you turn south on Route 2. It's down there about a quarter of a mile on the right. It's a brick building, and we're on the second floor. Come in, just sign. Please come in and sign. I'd love it because that helps us get on the ballot. We're making good progress, but every little signature helps. And donate. I don't care. Give me $5. Give me $10. Give me whatever you can. It all helps. At some point, I do have to deploy my message out to people who aren't listening, aren't paying attention.
Right.
And that takes money. So anything you can give.
All right, folks, she is Representative Patricia Morgan. Rep, great job. Good luck on the campaign trail. We'll definitely have you back.
Thank you, John. You be well.
Okay, folks, there it is. Representative Patricia Morgan joining us on the Noon Report. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Again, I fully recognize she does have to get through a primary first. I think it's unfortunate, but I can't underestimate enough. Look at the problem. Not only Rhode Island, Massachusetts. Senator, all of the Massachusetts delegation, they're also all still on board for the most part with Biden. And I'm talking about, the senators, the fake Indian and so forth. But right on Rhode Island, we don't have anyone that is an elected official speaking out enough. And Rep. Morgan also mentioned something that shouldn't be ignored, and that is, how come, our Rhode Island delegation that have so much interaction with the Team Biden, why didn't they pick up on it? I find it hard to believe, as Justin Katz had mentioned, that former Governor, Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo, that she saw no signs of this. We're learning now, the Wall Street Journal has a story out today that President Biden blew off meetings with world leaders because he had to get to bed. He is physically and mentally not up to the job. And we don't have anyone right now, seemingly, that will speak out about that. Now, folks, this portion of our program, as many of you know, I'm very, very active. And people ask me, how do you stay so active, 7-8 miles a day, sometimes 10 miles a day? Folks, it begins Greenville Foot and Ankle Specialist, right there, Smithfield Medical Center, Route 5 in Smithfield. Beautiful building, ample parking. And remember, they have their 3 doctors are board certified podiatrists. They're not just some, teenager who's trying to sell you an insole at a kiosk. Call an appointment today, Greenville Foot and Ankle Specialist, 401-949-3220. Remember, it is not God's will that you have foot pain. Foot pain is not normal. It can be alleviated. It ruins your quality of life. If you have trouble just, walking simple short distances, I saw it, as I mentioned, with the Karen Read trial. These people could barely walk 50 feet, 100 feet. They'd have to stop and rest. Ridiculous. Greenville Foot and Ankle Specialists. All aspects of foot care, whether it's a skin condition, bunions, hammer toe. Call today, 401-949-3220. You can find them online, greenvillefoothandankle.com, or call and look for them on Facebook, 401-949-3220. Well, folks, this is an extraordinary time that we are in right now. And I want to, once again, I think President Trump was great on Hannity last night. Now, here's some headlines. Speaker Johnson says 25th Amendment is appropriate to remove Biden. There's a new Emerson poll, Trump 46, Biden 43. Now, there's some other polls that are coming out. Shock poll, Kamala beats Trump, Hillary beats Trump. I don't know if I believe those particular polls. I don't see that. I'm not sure. I want to see. This is from Politico. Who put out this poll? A top Democrat pollster has a new survey showing Biden in contention against President Trump, but other Democrats now surging ahead. I don't think I believe that. I don't think I believe that. First of all, I don't know what's at stake here. We don't know who's paying these pollsters to put it out there, but you don't have enthusiasm right now with the Democrat Party. And folks, I want you to understand, I know the station down the dial, that they run full court press offense, always trying to defend Governor McKee, defend his pathetic record, defend this foolishness with the bridge. This has been going on for a while. But the fact of the matter is, Governor McKee, as Justin Katz says, he's not the right person for the job. It's all coming out. And all of their fortunes are tied to Biden staying in power. And it certainly doesn't look like that's going to happen. So that is very, very problematic for the state and for the funding of the bridge. President Trump coming in is not on board with all that stuff. And I also want to mention, someone had asked me about, when you see me sit out at night, and sometimes we broadcast outside, how come I'm not bothered by ticks and mosquitoes? Mosquito Joe of Rhode Island. Call them today. They'll come right out, ask about Intercare, Mosquito Joe. And I love their making outside great again. 401-426-2032. Mosquito Joe of Rhode Island provides mosquito control services, residential and commercial. They get rid of the ticks and mosquitoes. Mosquito Joe of Rhode Island, and you can find them on Facebook. So now, but staying on, you saw the explosion in the White House press corps yesterday. That White House press secretary, to me, she's all done. You can't listen, I'm not a fan of hers, but you can't keep sending someone out who's putting out false information, who's giving false information, and then expect the Washington press corps to take it, just sit back and say, oh, okay, she's changing her story. The arrogance of the Bidens. And it really comes down to, it's really, to me, the first lady. Because the president clearly, anyone that's had a relative like that, if you've had a relative, and Rep. Morgan is exactly right, if you've had a relative who's in that type of position, or, that stage, that condition, they would think, for instance, right now, President Biden, I'm sure he would think that he could drive. But anyone that you watch him operate and listen to him and talk to him, Representative Patricia Morgan raised a good point. Who would feel comfortable if he said, I'm going to drive the grandchildren to get ice cream? All people age differently. There are other people who are 91 who could drive their grandchildren to get ice cream. He's not one of them. But many times when you have talked to someone who's going through that, they don't have a firm grasp on reality, and he doesn't have a firm grasp on reality. This is Jill Biden. They're adamant, and they're dug in, and they're not going to just go away. Now, I also want to mention, someone asked me about who is at that office Taco Tuesday. Don Jose's Tequilas. Right there, upscale Mexican cuisine, Federal Hill, 351 Atwells Avenue. And yes, they offer tremendous Taco Tuesday. They also have the patio out back. Taco Tuesday this afternoon, 3 to 7. Margarita flights, and then Monday through Thursday they do the 3-course special, just $26.99. I share their Facebook page. It's Don Jose's Tequila and Taco Tuesday there. And also, Benjamin asked me, Benjamin needs to get a fence for his yard. They have a new dog. They want to just let the dog roam. He contacted me, sent me an email. Who do I recommend? Call fenceRI.com, Ben. 401-732-0555. 732-0555. And remember, if you mention our program, you get a $200 discount. They also do work deck construction, licensed and insured, tremendous ratings on Google. FenceRI.com, 401-732-0555. For an easy to find online at FenceRI.com, whether it's for a pet or a pool, or maybe you just want more privacy. FenceRI.com. So this is an extraordinary time right now. Make no mistake about it. This is frightening what's going on right now. He should not be in office. He absolutely should not be in office right now. And they're not going anywhere. And this whole business of handing off to Kamala Harris, let them do that. Right now, folks, regardless of what you think, President Trump is absolutely running a disciplined campaign and very poised to continue in the Republican convention next week. All right, here's what we're going to do. Coming up, right now it's 12:59. We're going to break for the 1 o'clock news. Yes, Facebook Live later. Next hour, Donna Perry joins us on the radio show, AM 1380, 99.9 FM. We're going to break, get you up to speed with the 1 o'clock news. We have another full hour to go. We're going to be back on the other side radio show of the John DePetro Show.